Welcome back to Talk Tickers, where we really dig into those earnings calls and help you make sense of all the numbers. And today we're going to be diving into Qualcomm's Q1 2025 results. And let me tell you, things are getting really interesting.
Yeah, their latest earnings call definitely had everyone talking. It wasn't just about, those crazy revenue records they hit, but also where those numbers are coming from and what they tell us about what this tech giant's going to do in the future.
All right, so first things first, like setting the scene here. Qualcomm, they completely blew past what everyone expected and pulled in a record $11.7 billion in revenue. That's pretty impressive, right? But I think what's even more interesting is that their chip business, QCP, that brought in a record $10.1 billion all on its own.
Yeah, that's a really good point. This shows that their core chip business, it's really doing well, and it's not just smartphones anymore. The automotive and IoT segments, they're showing just incredible growth, which kind of signals that Qualcomm is positioning themselves strategically for a future that goes way beyond just our phones.
Exactly. And speaking of smartphones, they really highlighted their global partnership with the Samsung Galaxy S25, which is powered by their Snapdragon 8 Elite chip.
Yeah.
And it sounds like this chip is becoming like the gold standard for premium smartphones.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And it's not just Samsung either. They're seeing strong demand from Chinese OEMs too. So this dominance in the premium smartphone market, that's a big driver of their handset revenue, which hit a record $7.6 billion, a 13% jump from last year.
So smartphones are still a major force, but it's clear that Qualcomm's playing a much bigger game here. So let's talk about those other growth areas, starting with automotive. They reported a 61% year-over-year increase in revenue, reaching $961 million. What's driving that incredible surge?
Well, their Snapdragon digital chassis platform is really becoming a game changer in the automotive industry. It's basically like a one-stop shop for all the tech that's going into modern cars, from like the infotainment systems we all use to those advanced driver assistance systems that are becoming more and more common.
Right, and they're not just providing the hardware, they're actually partnering with major car manufacturers and suppliers to integrate their technology. They even announced this new collaboration with Hyundai Mobis at CES to develop a system that combines their Snapdragon Ride Flex system on chip with Hyundai's software and sensors.
That's a huge deal. It really shows that Qualcomm's becoming a key player in this whole race to build software-defined vehicles, and they're doing it by building strong partnerships and providing that cutting-edge AI technology that's needed for these next-generation cars.
And they're not just focused on cars either. Their IoT revenue is also climbing, with strong momentum in industrial applications and edge network. And it seems like their chips are finding their way into just about everything these days.
Well, that's kind of the beauty of their on-device AI strategy, right? They're creating these powerful, efficient processors that can bring AI capabilities to a wide range of devices, from, smartphones and laptops to cars and even factory equipment. It's a vision with massive potential, and they seem to be executing it pretty effectively.
Okay, so we've covered smartphones, automotive, and IoT. But what about the elephant in the room, the personal computer market? Qualcomm's been trying to gain a foothold in this space for a while now with their Snapdragon-powered PCs. Did they give any updates on that front?
They did, and it looks like they're finally starting to make some progress. They've got over 80 Snapdragon PC designs either in production or development, with a goal of reaching over 100 commercialized designs by 2026.
That's a pretty ambitious target, especially when you consider they're going up against, these established giants like Intel and AMD. What's their strategy for making a space for themselves in this competitive market?
Well, they're positioning their Snapdragon chips as the solution for this whole new generation of laptops, thin, light, always connected, and with incredibly long battery life. They're essentially bringing that mobile-first experience to the PC world.
And to make that experience even better, they're leveraging their strength in on-device AI. They even mentioned that Microsoft is bringing optimized versions of DeepSeek R1, that new AI model we talked about earlier, to Snapdragon-powered PCs.
Yeah, exactly. So imagine a PC that not only has the portability and connectivity of a smartphone, but also the AI smarts to personalize your experience and help you get things done faster and more efficiently.
Yeah.
It's a pretty interesting idea, and it's clearly starting to resonate with some users.
They did share some data that suggests they're gaining some traction. According to Circana, Snapdragon X Series chips had over 10% share of the Windows laptop market, above $800 in U.S. retail in December. That's a pretty significant chunk, especially considering they're relative newcomers to this market.
It is. And remember, they just launched a new chip, the Snapdragon X, specifically designed for PCs in that $600 price range. So this opens up a whole new market for them, potentially attracting more, budget-conscious consumers who are looking
Yeah.
for that blend of performance, portability, and affordability.
So it seems like they're attacking the PC market from both ends, targeting both premium and more affordable segments. It's a bold strategy, and it'll be interesting to see how it plays out against the established players. But before we get too deep into this PC battleground, let's switch gears and talk about Qualcomm's licensing business, QTL.
Good point. Yeah, QTL brought in a respectable $1.5 billion this quarter, and it remains a significant part of their overall revenue. They provided some updates on their licensing agreements, highlighting their focus on securing long-term deals.
Yes, they mentioned finalizing negotiations with two major Chinese OEMs and expecting to sign those deals soon. They also signed Tran a rapidly growing phone maker, to a long-term 4G license to complement their existing 5G deal. This emphasis on long-term agreements seems to be a key part of their strategy for maintaining a steady stream of license and revenue.
Absolutely. And they also indicated that QTL revenue for fiscal year 2025 is expected to be pretty consistent with 2024. This suggests that they're confident in their ability to maintain stability in this segment, even as the overall market dynamics kind of evolve.
Speaking of evolving market dynamics, they also address the ongoing legal battle with ARM. Any notable developments there?
Yes. Eamon, Qualcomm's CEO, provided a brief update. He reminded everyone that they won the ARM lawsuit back in December, with the jury upholding their right to utilize custom CPU designs across a variety of devices, including smartphones, PCs, and data centers. He also mentioned that ARM seems to have backed down from their earlier threats to terminate Qualcomm's license.
So a clear victory for Qualcomm and a strong signal that they're prepared to, fiercely defend their intellectual property and innovations. This legal win removes this significant cloud of uncertainty and allows them to move forward confidently with their chip development and licensing strategies.
Precisely. It also reinforces their position as a leader in the semiconductor industry, a position they're further solidifying through their aggressive expansion into new markets and their relentless focus on device AI.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here, from record-breaking revenue to their strategic moves in various markets. But before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, let's shift our focus to the future. What do they have to say about their guidance for the next quarter?
Well, they're projecting non-GAAP revenue to fall between $10.2 and $11 billion for the second quarter, with earnings per share ranging from $2.70 to $2.90. Well, these numbers suggest a slight cooling off compared to that, explosive growth in Q1. They're still anticipating continued growth in handsets, IoT, and automotive, acknowledging some typical seasonal fluctuations in handset sales.
Okay, so another solid quarter on the horizon, even if it's not as dramatic as the one we just witnessed. But, amidst all this talk of chips, cars, and legal battles, there's one thing I'm particularly curious about. They've emphasized their success with Samsung and their expansion into the Chinese smartphone market. But what about the rest of the world? Are they making similar inroads in other key regions like Europe or India? And what about that burgeoning foldable phone market? Are they winning designs there?
You raised some excellent questions. Those are definitely areas worth exploring. And to dig deeper into those topics, we need to take a quick break. We'll be right back to uncover Qualcomm's global footprint and their role in the exciting world of foldable phones. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Talk Tickers. Before we went to break, you were asking some very interesting questions about Qualcomm's global presence and their involvement in the foldable phone arena. Yeah, I'm always intrigued by how these tech giants are navigating different markets and adapting to those emerging trends. So let's start with their global footprint. Qualcomm obviously has a strong foothold in the US and China, but what about other key markets like Europe and India? Are they replicating that success in those regions? Well, it's clear they're not neglecting these markets. Remember, they highlighted their success with Samsung's global launch of the Galaxy S25, which includes Europe, and their partnership with Transsion, a major player in Africa and emerging markets, further demonstrates their commitment to expanding their reach.
That's a good point. They did mention signing Transsion to that long-term 4G license, which suggests they're making inroads into those rapidly growing markets. But what about India specifically? It's a massive smartphone market, and it's known for being price sensitive. How is Qualcomm approaching such a unique and demanded market?
That's a great question. And while they didn't specifically address India's smartphone market on this call, It's logical to assume they're working closely with OEMs to offer chips that strike a balance between performance and affordability. They've successfully implemented this strategy in China, so it wouldn't be surprising to see them replicating it in India.
Makes sense. Now let's shift gears and talk about another trend that's reshaping the smartphone landscape. Foldable phones. Samsung is undoubtedly leading the charge here, but other manufacturers are jumping on board as well. Is Qualcomm grabbing a share of those designs?
That's an insightful question, and unfortunately, they didn't delve into the specifics of their foldable phone strategy during the call. However, given their dominant position in the premium Android space and their close relationship with Samsung, it's highly probable that they're supplying chips for those foldable devices.
Yeah, it would be surprising if they weren't involved in that segment. Foldable phones require some serious processing power to deliver that seamless user experience, and Qualcomm clearly has the chips to meet those demands. But speaking of chips, let's circle back to another area where they're making a concerted push the PC market. We talked about them gaining some traction with their Snapdragon-powered PCs, but they're still facing some intense competition from Intel and AMD. How do their chips stack up against these established players?
Well, Qualcomm's strategically positioning their Snapdragon chips as the ideal solution for those thin, light, and always connected laptops that boast impressive battery life. They're emphasizing on-device AI capabilities and a smooth user experience, especially with Windows 11. They even mentioned that Microsoft is optimizing versions of DeepSeek R1, that powerful new AI model we discussed, for Snapdragon-powered PCs.
So they're really leaning into that mobile-first experience, even on PCs. That's a bold bet, especially considering that Intel and AMD have been dominating this market for decades. Are they really confident they can challenge these industry titans?
It's a bold move for sure, but it's not without merit. The PC landscape is changing. Consumers are demanding laptops that offer the portability and connectivity of their smartphones, and Qualcomm's chips are designed precisely with that in mind. Moreover, the lines between smartphones and PCs are blurring, and Qualcomm is strategically positioned to capitalize on this convergence.
That's true. And with the rise of remote work and those hybrid work models, having a truly portable and always connected PC is becoming increasingly essential. It'll be fascinating to watch if Qualcomm can truly disrupt the PC market and reshape the way we think about laptops. But let's not forget about their other major growth driver, the automotive industry. They reported some stellar numbers there with revenue surging over 60%. What's fueling this remarkable growth? Their Snapdragon digital chassis is the key to this impressive growth. It's a comprehensive platform that encompasses everything from in-car entertainment and connectivity to advanced driver assistance systems. And they're actively partnering with major automakers and Tier 1 suppliers to bring this technology to market.
They even announced that collaboration with Hyundai Mobis at CES to develop a system that integrates their Snapdragon Ride Flex system on chip with Hyundai software and sensors. That sounds like a significant step forward in their automotive ambitions. Absolutely. It underscores how Qualcomm is becoming an integral part of the automotive ecosystem, not just a chip supplier. They're collaborating closely with car manufacturers to shape the future of driving.
And that future is increasingly centered around software-defined vehicles, with AI playing a pivotal role. Qualcomm seems to be in a prime position to capitalize on this transformative shift in the automotive industry. But with so many irons in the fire, from smartphones and PCs to automotive and IoT, it's challenging to keep track of everything they're doing. They're like a tech octopus with tentacles reaching into every corner of the digital world.
That's a vivid analogy. And you're right, they're a complex company with a lot of moving parts. But one thing is crystal clear. They're not resting on their laurels. They're constantly innovating, diversifying their portfolio, and pushing the boundaries of what's possible with connected technology.
And they're doing it all with this clear focus on on-device, AI. That seems to be the unifying thread that connects all their different businesses. They envision a future where AI is seamlessly integrated into every aspect of our lives, from our phones and laptops to our cars and even potentially our eyeglasses.
Precisely. They're building the chips and platforms to turn that vision into a tangible reality. And they're not just talking about it, they're backing it up with concrete actions, strategic partnerships, and a relentless drive to innovate.
It's definitely an exciting time to be following Qualcomm. They're at the forefront of some major technological shifts, and they're showing no signs of slowing down. But, we've covered a lot of ground here, and I'm sure our listeners are eager to hear your take on what could be a game-changing move for Qualcomm.
I always have something up my sleeve. But before we dive into that, let's transition to our This Is Not Financial Advice segment. Get ready for a wild ride.
Welcome back to Talk Tickers, where we wrap up our deep dives with a little bit of fun, our This Is Not Financial Advice segment. Remember, this is all hypothetical and purely for entertainment purposes.
Of course, but sometimes, like, a little speculation can spark some really interesting thoughts. What have you got for us today?
Okay, so we've talked about Qualcomm's dominance in smartphones, their push into PCs and automotive, their focus on on-device AI. But what if they took all that expertise and went, like, full-on consumer fashion?
No, that's an unexpected twist. I'm intrigued. What are you envisioning?
Okay, imagine this: Qualcomm partners with a high-end fashion brand. Think Gucci Prada, or even a disruptor like Warby Parker. And they create a line of, like, designer smart glasses powered by Qualcomm's most advanced AI chip.
Okay, I'm starting to see the picture here. We're not just talking about glasses that show you notifications. We're talking about glasses that augment your reality. Imagine walking down the street and your glasses are identifying landmarks, translating signs in real time, or even suggesting restaurants based on your preferences and your location.
Exactly. And think about the potential in health and fitness. These glasses could track your workouts, monitor your vitals, even analyze your run-in form, and provide real-time feedback. And of course, they'd have to look stylish while doing it all.
Of course. This is where the fashion brand partnership comes in. Imagine the buzz, limited edition Gucci X Qualcomm AI glasses collection would generate. It would be like this fusion of cutting-edge technology and high-end fashion, a match made in market in heaven.
And it could be a game changer for Qualcomm. A successful foray into that luxury wearable market would not only diversify their revenue streams, but also solidify their position as a leader in on-device AI experiences. Imagine the impact on their stock price if they could capture a significant chunk of this emerging market.
It's certainly a compelling idea. Qualcomm already has the technological know-how, and by partnering with an established fashion brand, they could instantly gain access to this whole new customer base and tap into the immense power of, brand recognition and desirability. It's a high-risk, high-reward scenario, which is what makes it so intriguing.
Exactly. Yeah. But remember, everyone, this is purely hypothetical. We're just exploring the possibilities here, and there's no guarantee this would actually happen.
Absolutely. Always do your own research, consult with a financial advisor, and make investment decisions based on your own individual circumstances and risk tolerance.
Well, that wraps up another deep dive here on Talk Tickers. We've explored Qualcomm's record-breaking quarter, analyzed their strategic moves, and even ventured into the realm of speculation with our This Is Not Financial Advice segment. Remember to stay informed, stay curious, and until next time, happy investing.